Hello everyone. Today's video is about 2024 Wave 2, and this is the first video in that I'm planning to review about the new features of Business Central 2024 Wave 2. And today's video will cover extending interfaces. This is the first topic under development. I'll show you soon. And what we're going to cover in the video is we're going to go look at the documentation page, number one. Number two, we're going to discuss quickly about what interfaces are and what they mean. It's a concept from different languages, so we're going to talk about that a little. And we're going to third, we're going to look at how Microsoft implemented interfaces. We're going to look at a few examples. And number four is my take on extending interfaces, just a scaffolding of a project, basically a use case for extending interfaces. Let's get going. So first of all, I will include in the description of the video the link to what's new with 2024 Wave 2. But the topic we're gonna discuss today is about extending AL interfaces. And yeah, when we go through the we have a sample code here where we're declaring an interface iFoo, we declaring an interface iBar, and then we're implementing the interface that is extending two existing interfaces. So iFoo bar is extending two interfaces. It declares as a method inside this one foo bar, and now we need to implement it, and basically that means we need to provide definitions for all those methods included with iFoo bar. And iFoo bar includes the foo bar method, and because it's extended iFoo and iBar, is going to also include those two functions, foo and bar. So that's in general about what the Microsoft documentation looks like. Let's go next into talking about interfaces in general. So let's talk a little bit about interfaces and the history of interfaces. Where are they coming from? Interfaces, I've seen interfaces first time in object-oriented programming languages like C++, C# or Java, and basically let's actually look at an example. Look at this example in written in C#. We have an interface iShape and the declaration of two methods, calculate area and calculate perimeter, and then we have a class that is implementing iShape, and we've got a member radius, a decimal member, and then we have a definition of a method called circle. As you can see, the circle is not part of the interface, but is actually a constructor for the class circle. But then we have two methods, calculate area and calculate perimeter. And calculate area was initially, we've seen it initially in the iShape interface, and calculate perimeter is the same in here, but no definition here. So when we implement circle, we're going to get we're going to have to provide implementations for the methods inside the interface. And yeah, that's about where the interfaces are coming from, and how are we going to actually put them to good use when we write code. Let's have a look next at Business Central modules and see what Microsoft did around interfaces. I downloaded the symbols for BC version 25, and let's have a look at a few. Let's have a look at what interfaces we have in V25 under the base application. So we've got a bunch here. Yeah, let's talk about price calculation. If we look at what methods we have declared in this interface, we have init, getLine, apply discount, apply price, count discount. So whoever is going to implement this interface will have to provide definitions for those methods in the price calculation. And if we look at, let's say, code units, we've got here, let's say, code unit 7002, price calculation version 16. This is implementing price calculation. So this is this code unit is implementing an interface. But version 15 will implement the price calculation. So we should find in this function all the functions that were defined in the interface, like init, apply discount, and we also see the implementation. Apply price, it had a parameter. Apply price was had this function, this parameter called by field number, and I think we've seen it when we looked at 7002. Called by field number. In price calculation handler, it's an example of an enum that is implementing the interface price calculation, and it's basically telling us what code unit we should use for getting the right implementation of a method in of a method from an interface. So for example, here, if we're version 16, Business Central version 16, we're going to get an implementation from price calculation version 16 code unit. So code units and enums can implement interfaces. So let's have a look at an example of how we could extend interfaces in BC. So I have here an example, and if we look at a folder called interfaces, I started with an interface importer, and in this interface I declared two methods, import and vet, and vet has a parameter pvar of type variant. Let's look at iProcessor, and this is implementing, or this is containing only one method process, and then we have importer processor. Interface importer processor extends importer processor and return poll deleting. Return poll deleting is it's a Microsoft interface. It's in system applications, interfaces, return pole deleting, and its only method is delete records. So this is used by the retention policies mechanism. You just have to add the table that you want to maintain with retention policies, and if you have the right scaffolding for your custom table, the system will be able to delete records according to the retention policies you defined. So what I'm trying to do here is I will need an entity that will have the methods in the importer interface, the methods in the processor interface, and the methods in the retention policies deleting. On top of that, this importer processor interface will have an additional method called log. So the thought was, why do I need import and process and to delete records and maybe log? And the development task is around importing data in BC from a CSV or from Excel. And you might say, yeah, but you have data in Excel and you can import data. Yeah, but not for custom data. So for custom schemas, unless you create the custom schema, custom table, and then you can import. But the case here is that we have a requirement to import data from a CSV file and from an Excel file and maybe from a text file. So all these development tasks require you to have an import function, require you to have a process function, because once you have the data, maybe you want to create I don't know, customers or general journal lines or any requirement that you need to go through. So from the raw data you imported, you want to create a particular entity in BC. So that's how you need the process. Then log is maybe to log the process, when it started, when it ended, or you may want to log an error. So logging is good, and you might want to not end up with millions of records in the database if they've been processed and imported 5 years ago. Therefore, we might need to have a functionality or to rely on a Microsoft functionality like retention policies. So therefore, you might need that record delete method from the Microsoft retention policies delete interface. And so this would be how we write the interfaces, and you see here how I'm extending more than one interface. Now, how do we actually use this interface is if we go to the code units. I've got here a code unit 50100 CSV importer processor implements importer processor, and as you can see here, I have all the functions and their parameters like vet head pvar and delete records head, a specific definition record ref, and all you have to do now is just write code in each method, and yeah, you can you can create your CSV import table. You can have here whatever you need to import, and you can also have here in the pages a list page to display the data, and you can hook it up to your code unit for 5100 with actions on the page to call the right method. So that would be That would be for the CSV. We can also have another code unit, Excel importers processor, that implements the same functions. Let's say let me comment these functions. The compiler will automatically see that we're breaking the contract we have with importer processor interface, because the interface was the importer and the processor, and the importer processor interface, they come with definitions, and when we implement an interface, we're signing a contract that we need to provide definitions for all the functions in all the interfaces we're implementing. Therefore, this error, Excel importer processor does not implement the interface member importer processor log and delete records. So we will need to provide definitions for these functions. That's it. That's all about extending interfaces and what's coming with 2024 Wave 2 from a development point of view. I will go over more topics related to 2024 Wave 2 in my future videos. Subscribe, like, and comment if you want to share something with me, like I might have missed details. For sure, this is more like an intro on extending interfaces. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.